Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the public meeting for the Standing Committee on Economic Development and Environment. My name is Robert Hawkins. I am the MLA for Yellowknife Centre, and as well, I'm the chair of the Standing Committee of the Economic Development and Environment. Now, I'm going to ask members to introduce themselves around the table. I don't believe we have anyone online. That said, I'm going to start with my far left first, and we'll work our way around the room. Please, if you would begin.
Good morning. My name is George Zerzu. I'm the MLA for the Mackenzie Delta.
Good morning, Mayor. My name is Danny McNeely, representing the Satu region.
Good morning, I'm Kieran Testart, here for Yellowknife Range Lake.
Good morning, I'm Shauna Morgan, MLA for Waikiki North.
Good morning, I'm Kate Reed. I'm the MLA for Great Slave.
And good morning, Julian Morse, MLA for Frame Lake.
Thank you, committee. The topic of today's proceeding is access to land and land transfers. Committee will first hear from the City of Yellowknife, followed by what should be a robust briefing and in some good questions. After that, I believe the Honourable Minister for Environment and Climate Change will join us. I understand he's tied up with House duties, so that said, we'll address his time in the space that's available. Before I pass the mic on to the City of Yellowknife, I'll proceed to work back and forth with the Mayor unless he directs it otherwise, and hence the old-fashioned, that works just as well. Yeah, I think we're ready to go, and we're certainly looking forward to it. I know I'm looking forward to this, including our millions of subscribers here at the Legislative Assembly. So that said, I would ask the Mayor, please introduce your delegation and proceed into your presentation.
Sure, thank you very much. With me today is our City Manager, Stephen Van Dyne, as well as our Director of Planning and Development, Charles E. White. So, good morning to you all, and thank you, Chair Hawkins, for the introduction, and to members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today on behalf of the City of Yellowknife. We are here to discuss a critical issue that underpins the territories and Canada's broader economic, social, and strategic priorities. The urgent need to unlock land for housing, economic development, and national projects, with a specific focus on the Frame Lake parcel. Yellowknife is not only the capital of the NWT, it is a regional service center and a frontline community for northern growth, Arctic sovereignty, and economic development. Today, I'll walk you through the city's current land constraints, the work we've undertaken, and why the Frame Lake parcel in particular within the capital area is a critical next step. Yellowknife is experiencing real accelerating economic pressures. This growth is being driven by Department of National Defense investments, the Giant Mine Remediation Project, mineral development and exploration, tourism growth, and airport activities serving Yellowknife, the northern parts of the NWT, and western Nunavut. These are not long-term possibilities. These ones are already happening. They're funded and they're moving forward. Add in the potential for the Arctic Economic and Security Corridor and the Mackenzie Valley Highway, and the pressure is real. As I say all of this, we are seeing increasing pressure on housing and land availability even before the actions I just mentioned. As some members of this committee are aware, because they were previously city councillors, the pressures from a lack of land are long-standing and far predate my term as mayor or as a councillor. Our population is currently estimated at approximately 21,800 residents and is projected to grow to over 26,000 under a high growth scenario. We've made progress. 104 dwelling units in 2023, 273 dwelling units were completed in 2024, and 124 dwellings in 2025. But shortages persist across all housing types, particularly affordable housing. What this means in practical terms is that housing supply is not keeping pace with demand. Without additional land, this gap will continue to widen. Within Yellowknife's boundaries, 59% of land is not available for development due to withdrawals, federal ownership, contamination, and other constraints. Only 41% is considered potentially available, and most of that is commissioner's land requiring GNWT approval. The city itself controls less than 1% of the potentially available land. This is a structural constraint that we can't overcome without partnerships. The city has made every effort to maximize the land we do control. Recent subdivisions, including Niven, Grace Lake, and Hall Crescent, are fully sold and nearing completion. Infill development is ongoing but limited. Council is addressing vacant land and buildings in the city by introducing new bylaws and property tax classifications. On the industrial side, Cam Lake Phase 2 represents the last significant opportunity currently available for industrial economic growth. Simply put, the existing supply pipeline is nearly exhausted. Based on our growth projections, the city requires approximately 65 hectares of residential land, 17 to 21 hectares of commercial land, and up to 89 hectares of industrial land. These are not aspirational numbers. They are based on realistic growth scenarios tied to the economic drivers I've described. Even when we account for all remaining infill and small-scale opportunities, we are falling short. In fact, without unlocking new land, we will not meet even a medium growth scenario for housing supply as determined by our 2024 housing needs assessment. And we risk limiting the economic growth and opportunity that I was describing. This translates directly into higher housing costs, labor shortages that we already experience, and missed opportunities for the territory. I'm going to switch gears to a specific piece of the puzzle. The Frame Lake parcel represents the most immediate and impactful opportunity for land. This is a 41-hectare site with approximately 24.6 hectares of developable land after environmental and servicing considerations. It is directly adjacent to lands currently owned by the city, it's centrally located, it's adjacent to existing infrastructure, and it's capable of supporting a range of different housing types. Most importantly, it helps close the gap toward meeting our medium growth housing needs. This development enables a mix of housing types, a neighborhood serving commercial uses, a complete and connected community. It also strengthens connections to downtown and surrounding areas, improving overall integration within the city. The Frame Lake parcel sits within the capital area, as you know, which is a strategically planned district in Yellowknife. The area includes key civic landmarks, such as the Legislative Assembly Building and the Prince of Wales Northern Heritage Centre. The city recognizes the importance of these landmarks and is prepared to protect the sightlines, natural landscapes, and public access. The city is also prepared to declare this area a municipal development priority based on the need for housing and affordability, the opportunity for mixed growth, and the importance of enhancing access to the Frame Lake Trail system. Based on our discussions today and with the Board of Management next week, I'm ready to bring a resolution to my council colleagues that ensures these priorities are formally adopted by council. Development here will be carefully planned and aligned with long-term policy frameworks. It's not speculative to say this. It is a deliberate and coordinated approach that the city is taking related to this parcel. Regarding work to date, the city has already undertaken significant work. A formal land transfer application has been submitted. Community plan updates are underway to designate the land. Engagement with Indigenous governments is ongoing and productive. Technical and environmental assessments are in progress. Following the community plan update we're currently working on, an amendment will be drafted to the area development plan. We're not waiting on anything right now. We are preparing so that when the transfer happens, we're ready. We also have a clear and structured development process in place that includes community plan updates, capital area development plan amendments, zoning and subdivision approvals, public and Indigenous engagement at every stage. This ensures development is transparent, coordinated, and aligned with territorial legislation. The city's ready to move. The limiting factor is the land. We are asking for three things. First, the transfer of the Frame Lake parcel. Second, increased access to commissioners' lands to meet broader residential, commercial, and industrial needs. And third, a coordinated, time-bound process to move this work forward. These actions will allow us to respond to growth in a timely and responsible way. I want to emphasize, that this is not just a municipal issue. This is a territorial and national priority. Unlocking land in Yellowknife supports Arctic security and national defense readiness, housing affordability and stability, and economic growth potential across the territory. It positions Yellowknife, it positions the Northwest Territories for long-term success. In closing, the need is clear, the planning work is underway, the opportunity, particularly at Frame Lake, is immediate. What's required now is the actual access to land. The City of Yellowknife is partnering with Indigenous governments, the GNWT, and the federal government to deliver the housing, infrastructure, and economic capacity that the North and Canada require. I do thank Minister MacDonald in particular for his partnership and commitment over the last year to focus ECC's attention on this issue. I do believe that work is moving, But as those who know me well know, I believe when I see, and until I see the city with land coming into our control, I will continue to speak about this issue as it is critical to the future of Yellowknife in our territory. Thank you, and we are happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to work my way through committee, and including our guests who are here. So I think I saw Miss Reed first, so MLA Great Slave and MLA MLA Range Lake and whatnot. I've got a list going here. So why don't we start? So for Your Worship's benefit, including our guests, we typically ask one question and a follow-up. I'm going to encourage folks to be efficient with time. We have about an hour in total. That may be enough, but we certainly have lots of people here and potentially questions. So again, we're going to work towards that, and if I have to nudge you a little bit to be shorter, including the folks, we want to get everyone on the record. So I'll first go with the MLA Reed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you very much for your presentation, and thank you for the time that you've spent to me, talking to me one-on-one about this issue. I really appreciate it. Would you like the spicy question or the non-spicy question? I'll start non-spicy. Let's ease into this. So I appreciate the work that you've done on the Frame Lake parcel. I'm supportive of it. I'm looking forward to that moving forward expediently. And I also appreciate the work that you've done on the vacant building and lots and the bylaws that you mentioned in passing in your presentation. So one thing I want to just put to you, and maybe we can discuss it further in your answer, is the way that the public understands vacant lots, and especially lots that say have, in my writing especially, there have been fires in previous years, the ownership is often unclear, and to be very blunt, I very much dislike your website. It's very hard to use the land navigator. I think a lot of people just have misinformation or poor information at best of what the status of land is within the city boundaries. And saying going to the city map navigator is not really the best solution for people. So is there any way that you are going to be bringing this into the public conversation, especially with your city planning document under development? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, MLA Reed. To the mayor, when you're ready.
Thanks. And I'll give an initial comment, and then I'll pass it off to Stephen and Charles if they have anything to add. I mean, I'll be disappoint you in the first part of that we do have our GIS website. I know it can be a bit clunky at times, but if people stick with it, you can find out who's, at least if it's a municipal, private, or commissioner ownership in terms of land. In terms of the vacant land question, it's something that I'm sure, you know, your colleagues now and former councillors heard during their times on council. It's been something that's discussed often when we talk about land, is what about infill with properties that already exist. It's important that people understand that when it comes to private ownership, the city can't force a private developer to do something, or a private owner of a piece of land to do something. But at the same time, this is where we're trying to step into that void and use every tool at our disposal, including looking at, in August, hopefully the plan is that the bylaw will come around a vacant land tax amendment. And we were discussing at our Governance and Priorities Committee meeting yesterday a vacant land or vacant building bylaw. So to tackle both of those pieces. So in terms of if people are wondering about a chunk of land, you know, the city website, though a new website's coming, but GIS is a different beast. But in terms of that element, but if people ever have questions, they can always contact the city as well and ask about a specific parcel and who owns it. But in terms of us as a council and as a municipality, trying to use every tool at our disposal to maximize the land that we already have in our physical environment that could be developed. We are doing everything we can. And maybe if there's anything else to add, but don't feel
We have the
obligated
mics,
as well.
don't worry. So
Stephen?
SEO Van Dyne, please, if you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mayor Hendrickson. I think that lays it out nicely. I think what I would offer is that it's important not to fall into an or situation. Infill or land development. It's an and situation. We absolutely need both. Municipal governments across the territory require an ongoing steady supply of land that it has to step forward to the commissioner and ask for and deal with population growth. So what Yellowknife is asking for is following that process, which is basically asking for a pipeline of land for us to be able to develop and move forward. On spot-specific issues, as the mayor's laid out, there's some development incentives is a number of things which is we've put in place. We've increased zoning capacity to make it more attractive to build on and increase density in developable and vacant land. As the mayor points out, you know, there's a certain amount of limitation that we can do to compel private landowners to do certain things, but we are using all the tools in the toolkit. In terms of the direct question on how are we letting Yellowknifers know that this is an issue, we're doing a number of things. We certainly took the steps to brief Yellowknife MLAs in December on this general question, and much of the information we're presenting today is related to that initial briefing. Certainly through our requirements that we are very much, we take very seriously is through our Governance and Priorities Committee and through Council. We do work through those sorts of conversations. We do have some publications that we've now recently prepared that we'll share with committee today, if you'll permit us, on raising awareness and understanding. And so we very much take the responsibility seriously of bringing the community along in this conversation to allow community to understand that active management is happening and active requests are being made. And that we're following due process. So that's exactly what we're trying to do. There's a lot of education going on, and there's more to be done. Thank you.
And Ms. White's good, so,
So,
yeah.
yeah. The mics are hot, but yeah, it's got to go through the chair for recording purposes and as well as the public. That's it. I'll go back to MLA Reid, and if somebody doesn't need to comment, we could use that space as well, because that 11:45 cutoff time also includes the minister potential. So. MLA Reid, when you're ready.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. I thought I was only allowed one question, so I appreciate that. My spicier question is something that I've spoken with you quite a bit, Mayor Hendrickson, is the fact that Tin Can Hill is now fully back in the purview of the city. Currently, you've told me that there is no political will to develop it. Obviously, there are very passionate residents who do not want to see that developed, but when you look at a map from that terrible mapping service that I don't like, it's very clear that that's in your purview. It has the ability to be developed quite quickly. But obviously you have Yellowknifers who are very against development on that very beloved space. So I guess my question really comes down to whether or not the city is considering to protect that space in any way, or if it will be open to development. Obviously this council has decided perhaps not, but if you could provide more clarity around the current position and what is possible in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, MLA Reid. I go to the mayor unless directed otherwise. Please.
Yes, as you know, there's no current plan to develop on Tin Can Hill. We know the backstory of some of the discussions that have gone over the last several years, and in terms of time, effort, efficacy, because the other factor, and maybe Ms. White can speak to this afterwards in terms of the hectares that we need, it wouldn't make the dent that we need it to make either in terms of the actual housing need. So we could progress with that potentially, and it still wouldn't have the impact that we actually have in front of us. So in terms of time, effort, focus of the municipality, that's the reason we're focusing on Frame Lake, is that's where we actually will see impact in terms of housing, in terms of planning, in terms of time, in terms of effort, and that's why we're focusing there. But Ms. White, if you have anything to add?
Director White, if you would have something to offer to benefit committee, please.
Great, thank you, Chair. Through the Chair, the Tin Can Hill area is currently designated as residential central in the community plan. That is remaining in the upcoming community plan. The Frame Lake parcel is directly adjacent to a number of parcels that are currently owned by the city of Yellowknife, and combining them together is more than twice the size of what would be a Tin Can Hill parcel. Municipalities, when we develop with full municipal services, roads, sewer, water, 40% of the land area is lost to infrastructure. So whatever the hectare minus 40%, that's what you get as a total development. And the other benefit is the collaborations that are available with the Frame Lake to not just be for residential for the city of Yellowknife. There is an opportunity for mixed use, commercial uses, large additions to our existing recreational facilities in the area, as well as collaboration with some of the lands that's part of the Acacia withdrawal. So the total area difference is significant from Tin Can Hill versus the Frame Lake parcel. And as the mayor said, we're kind of looking at cost-benefit analysis.
And thank you for that. I next have MLA Testard, followed by MLA Morgan, and at that point, I'm assuming others will weigh in after that. So I'll begin with MLA Testard for his one question and follow-up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and this is a passionate topic of mine. It's been a ongoing project of my entire elected career. The 19th Assembly and 20th Assembly have both now adopted motions calling for comprehensive land transfers to municipalities from commissioners' land within their boundaries. And this is something I fully support and something the city obviously needs. I've asked the minister who's responsible for lands about this, and I understand there's a memorandum of agreement signed between City Hall and ECE that is supposed to expedite this process. The request today is to adopt an expedited process in addition to the actual land transfer. So from City Hall's perspective, and I'll have this question for the minister as well, what is this memorandum of agreement actually accomplishing? Because it seems like we have a lot of good intentions, and we have for a very long time, about working together, being collaborative, et cetera, but the land is not moving. So what are we accomplishing with the last instrument that's been put in place, which is this memorandum of agreement? Thank you.
And thank you for that. Mayor, if you would.
Yeah, very short is, in terms of the memorandum of collaboration, it does set out our working together. But as you note, I'm here for a reason. The land hasn't been transferred to the city yet, and as I said, I believe when I see. And so ultimately, we will keep pushing until that comes to us, but I'll let Mr. Van Dyne go into more of the specifics on the memorandum.
All right, thank you very much. Trust but verify. SEO Van Dyne, if you would help us, please.
Sure, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mayor Hendrickson. So the memorandum of collaboration sort of works on the principle of two components. One is it acknowledges that ECC and the Government of the Northwest Territories has a set of processes that it must follow in order to transfer land from the commissioner to a municipality. Memorandum of collaboration doesn't speak to re-engineering that process. It just sort of acknowledges it as a process. What it does do, though, is on the municipal side, is we have hundreds of land applications with the commissioner for all different types of land of shapes and sizes. We even received one yesterday, which was land related to a parcel under a road, basically giving the municipality legal title and control over these sorts of things. So we've got literally hundreds of little widgets of land that applies. Now, what we've asked the territorial government through the memorandum of collaboration is to say, while those things are necessary and important, there are some land transactions that we think are of strategic importance, and we would like you to take your resources from a city perspective and apply your efforts in these priority areas. These priority areas, then, we hope, will allow our counterparts on the departmental side to then prioritize and move expeditiously in that space. So it's relatively early days in that regard. We are also on record with supporting through the budget process for the Government of the Northwest Territories to give land administration additional resources, and I understand they've received some marginal resources to help us with our land administration requirements. But the process itself is still entirely within the control of the Government of the Northwest Territories, and we respect the Government of the Northwest Territories rules with which they choose to do that. Anecdotally speaking, because we're here, because we're talking to you, because we're educating all who will listen, we had two parcels underneath City Hall that were actually commissioners' land for ever. And it took 12 years to have those parcels transferred from the commissioner to the city. And I raise that anecdote for a couple of reasons. First, it just gives you some indication of that there is a process that has to be followed that takes time, and we're not in control of that timeline. And the second is, if the city, for whatever reason, decided that it wanted to dispose of City Hall and create another opportunity for residents to reinvest or rebuild, our ability to do so is limited by the fact that we didn't actually have all of the title for the city halls. We couldn't do it, we're not contemplating that. Let me just go on the record to say that. But just in terms of legal certainty, we just did not have that legal certainty as a result of that timeline. So the memorandum of collaboration to close is working insofar as we're being clear to the territorial government on what our priority areas are. And that is supported by bi-weekly meetings between the department's officials and with the government of the Northwest Territories. And I wouldn't quite say we're attempting to be quarterly between myself and the deputy minister.
Thank you very much. Well, just say you're camping and the GNWT won't move you off their lands. That's it. MLA Testard, if you want to go further with a follow-up.
Always, Mr. Chair, but no, thank you for that, because it's good to have the perspective of our witnesses today on how that's working, but it does sound like it is not designed to expedite any processes and merely to lay out existing processes, but the line of communication is useful for flagging certain priority issues. So let's assume that you get the transfer, or the City Hall gets the transfer. And I'm not going to throw shade, but I've been part of an assembly that has approved something for the city, and that was the hotel tax, and it took a very long time to actually implement that hotel tax. So I'm fine to pump the gas and put a lot of pressure to see this parcel transferred, but how long will it take to actually start the development? Because I don't want to see the sense of urgency lost because of your own internal processes at City Hall that might slow things down, because everyone has a process. I have my own views on that, but I won't bring them up here. But I want to make sure that we get this thing moving on our end and on your end. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And thank you for that, Mayor.
Very quick from the political side of it, and then I'll pass it over to Director White. That's exactly what council is sort of obsessed with, is making sure that administration is doing everything we can to be ready so that when the parcel is eventually transferred, we're not delaying anything. But I'll pass it over to Director White, and she can talk to you through some of the work that's in the background already.
I appreciate that. Director White, if you would, please.
Thank you, through the chair. So the first step that we have already begun is designating the lands, both current commissioner land as well as City of Yellowknife land, in the new community plan update for development, and it's in its own designation to allow this. Moving forward, we are currently working on an environmental impact study of the land, so not just the commissioner's land, but also the City of Yellowknife land, and a geotechnical analysis, which would help to support future development and or protections in the area. Following that, what would be required is an amendment to the existing capital area plan, which is a public process. Area development plans are approved by the City Council, and would also go through the Capital Area Committee, which sits and hears all development proposals within the capital area and provides recommendations based on the existing capital area plan, which does include one of the items in the capital area plan is for new housing. And then following success of that is the potential zoning bylaw amendment, possibly multiple, because we're talking not just residential, but commercial, mixed use, and recreational uses, and plan of subdivision. And again, all of these are public process. So while the city can make this a priority, as they are public processes, as outlined in the legislation, there are some opportunities for appeal, so we need to be aware of those and build those into our timelines. Thank you.
And thank you for that. Encouraging people to be efficient and not encouraging anyone to rush, but of course, time is ticking away. Next I have on our list is MLA Morgan, followed by MLA McNeely. And when we get through that batch of questions, we've been joined by the minister, and we'll find that space to switch out our witnesses. Okay. So next, as I mentioned, MLA Morgan.
Thank you,
and
Mr. Chair.
would you please?
Thank you. And thank you for taking the time to be here with us. I know we've certainly heard about this issue and been talking about this issue, but I think for myself, finally to have both you in a room and with the minister gives us maybe a better chance to sort through what's actually holding things up or going wrong. So I know that the city for a long time has asked for a bulk land transfer process. My understanding, or what we're told, is that in fact in the last year or so, that process of a bulk land transfer has been worked out to some degree, that it is possible now, and this is for all municipalities in the territory, I believe. So my question is that the process that you're pursuing with the Frame Lake parcel? And if you can explain if there's any barriers to moving forward with that bulk land transfer process that you see? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mayor, if you'd begin.
Yeah, the bulk land transfer, and I think this is where maybe verbiage is really important. The bulk transfer, as council and the GNWT historically had discussed it, was talking about actually moving all of Commissioner's land within municipal boundaries to the city. I think sometimes maybe it's being used also as to just talk about large parcels of land. The sort of historic, what the first idea that I was talking about is basically it was determined to not be viable. So that's why the city has focused instead on this large parcel from Frame Lake and working through the memorandum of collaboration, the actual prioritization of key pieces of land. So in terms of the, back to the verbiage and definition, what I would think of as the bulk transfer, which is what I believe yourself, when you were previously on council, and myself, when I first came to council, when we were talking about a bulk land transfer, it was that full movement of Commissioner land. That is no longer being sought. So instead we are, because it just was deemed to be not viable, so we are instead looking at the large parcel transfer and prioritizing those parcels in collaboration with the Department of ECC.
Thank you for that. MLA Morgan for a follow-up, please.
Thank you. Okay, and so I'm interested to know more about what barriers you're seeing. You mentioned just overall sort of staffing capacity, that it's going, but it's just going slowly. I know I've heard in the past about issues with cost of land surveying. I wonder if that is still a barrier, or if there's anything else in particular that is holding things up, for example, with the Frame Lake parcel in particular. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And thank you for that. Mayor, when you're ready.
Yep. So that is a potential thing that we will have to grapple with, but this council, at least, we have a municipal election coming up in October, so we'll see what a future council says. This council has made it pretty clear from an administrative standpoint that this parcel is so important to the future of our city that we will figure out the financials of surveying, because any economic hit to our municipal budget would be far outweighed by the benefit that would come from actually getting this parcel into the municipality and seeing housing built and business opportunities come from it and all of those elements. So I don't want MLAs to leave this room today, or anybody in the public, to think that surveying would be a linchpin from a city perspective. It will be a factor that we'll have to grapple with, but it won't be the thing to stall anything. In terms of other barriers, maybe I quickly just to talk about his work with the department, but part of where, I come from is, again, whatever those barriers are, ultimately we need to overcome them right now. And so I'm not sure exactly what the specifics may be. I work within the municipality, not within the department, so I can't speak to those, but I know right now the barrier that I see is we're facing real economic, potentially losing economic potential in this community because we don't have a critical piece of land operational within municipal control that we can then get out to market in order to see things happen. And so to me, that's the single barrier that I'm facing. I'll maybe pass it to Mr. Van Dyne quickly to expand on anything more at the minute level.
Mayor, City Manager, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mayor Hendrickson. I would just simply offer, so the processes that we're following now, and certainly the focus through the memorandum of collaboration, have been constructive in terms of prioritizing. The fact that, and the memorandum of collaboration hasn't been around that long. It was an innovation that we came together on just over a year ago. Additionally, the communication lines between line officials between the two departments has increased over the last little while too, which I'm happy to see. The increased resources that the Assembly has provided, ECC, is also welcome, and that is relatively recent. So I think all of the things that we're doing to try and move this parcel along are underway. And as the mayor's pointed out, we're hoping that, and we're augmenting that with raising awareness and conversations with our YKDFN partners, our North Slave Métis Alliance partners, and the Det'anchogh government partners to keep them fully informed as to our intent and our process and raising awareness to Yellowknifers. I think so we're doing all of those things. What I would just sort of underscore is that the pinch point that we find ourselves in is also to deal with that, this activity has not happened since 2017. Have we developed a subdivision within the city of Yellowknife? So we've got quite a bit of time that predates all of this effort that I just described. And so that time lag of having available land come on stream for that period of time is exacerbating the situation, which makes it awfully uncomfortable. And this is the stress factor that you're seeing, and certainly the tone in terms of what, but it's certainly in no indication to suggest that the colleagues that we've been working with across with the department has been a barrier to moving things along. We're just really in an operational crunch based on the fact that there's been a lack of transfer for a period of time that predates this. And so we just find ourselves in a very uncomfortable situation because of that.
Thank you for that. I now have MLA McNeely followed by MLA Morse, and we'll see where we go from there. Mr. McNeely, when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks for your presentation there, Mayor. I'm looking at particularly slide deck page 13, and what really I'm doing in my area and for the north as well is I'm really excited about the huge opportunities for the Northwest Territories. The airport expansion here, and the demand comes with the presence of D&D staff, and the same thing could apply to those principals in the community of Inuvik. And of course, us in the middle, we're going to get a piece of the pie, and life's going to be good. So using a pragmatic approach to what you really need is that word readiness. On the first bullet, unlocking land in Yellowknife supports Arctic security and national defense readiness. And just the word readiness could defy a number of things in preparation for those expansion opportunities. Have we got our workforce, as my colleagues mentioned yesterday, and I totally support their statements and questions to workforce readiness, land readiness, housing readiness. And to meet those demands, definitely, one big, huge factor is land access and Indigenous supports. This area of request that you're looking at is a little bit different, but on the principles of readiness. It's a little bit different on the readiness that I'm supporting for the Sahtu, because we have a modern treaty which spells out a process for access. So, given all those on the principles, not so much on the administration. I'm not really trying to get caught up in the red tape of CLS surveys and those types of things. That's the administration of your office. But on the principles of expansion and readiness, I'm certainly leaning towards supporting your request. And I just got to educate myself here on the principle as to why. But on the spirit of readiness for the incoming clients and the influx of opportunities and capital, we better get ready. And readiness means making a decision. So I support the concept of Frame Lake. Thank you.
Thank you, MLA McNeely. Not hearing a specific question, unless the mayor feels they want to jump in on that. No, not at the second. I'll let you save those things for the wrap-up. I'll now move to MLA, if you're comfortable. Mr.
Yeah, I don't have a follow-up. I just want to make a statement and get right to the
Just wanted to make sure.
the answer.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure. I now have MLA Morris next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll try to be as quick as I can, knowing that time is running out. I just wanted to know, during Committee of the Whole earlier this year, I questioned the Minister of ECC about improvements that he sees that could possibly be made to the land transfer process. We talked about things like potentially implementing timelines or other such simplifications, consolidating the process in different ways. I'm just curious if the city has any insights that they could share from their experience being on the other side of the process as to things that they think could make the process more efficient, considering that the timing seems to be the big key here. It's not that land doesn't eventually get transferred, it's that the eventually can be a long period of time. So I'm curious to hear if the city has insights. I recognize this could be a pretty big question, so if you want to share them in writing with committee later, that would be appreciated. Thanks.
Thank you, Emily Morris. Mayor, to that question?
You up on that, the offer of the end to share back in writing, because there are a lot of different factors that, from understanding what the decision points are exactly and where the different decision points are lying at any given moment, all the way through to, I think it might be better to come back to you in a written response, if that's all right, and we can do that speedily in order to make sure that you have that.
Thank you, Mayor. I would encourage you to obviously CC the Department of ECC, not because you should, but it's also a public hearing and they should be privy to those answers, but it would be helpful for the department at large to have your perspective at least on that. That said, MLA Morris, do you have a further? Nope, not seeing any. Okay, folks, not having any more questions, and I'm not trying to find ways to keep more questions going on, that we do have a presentation. We have to allow at least some robust opportunity to have some discussion and dialogue with the department. That said, I'm going to reserve my questions. I've had lots of opportunities. I think the only thing I'd ask, maybe just for clarification for the record, is that when you've asked for the 65 hectares of land, how many residents, like doors, sometimes it's referred to, is how many, what type of impact are you talking about when you refer to? Because 65 sounds this big, it sounds this big. For the average person, it's very difficult to qualify and quantify. So if you could give us a sense of the impact it'll have on the community, and I'll just keep my question to one.
It always makes me happy when my estimate in my head matches what the director just wrote down. It's between 1,500 to 2,000 doors.
Thank you. And that's the type of understanding of the impact of what that would mean. Please restate in your closing remarks. And that said, we will look forward to your follow-up. And once you're done, we'll do the fancy seamless switch out. Please, Your Worship.
Thank you very much. The key thing that I want to leave committee with today is one, that the department and the city of Yellowknife are working closely together. I really do want to reiterate the positive working relationship that I have with Minister McDonald and that the city manager has with his counterpart, the deputy minister of ECC. So I really want to state that out front. Also, the work that the city, we didn't get into it much here, but that the city is doing with the Indigenous governments, particularly the Yellowknife's Dene First Nation, working with the chiefs and keeping them up to speed throughout this process on what our status is with applications. I've met with them in the last year since taking over this role 5 times individually between us, plus we've had 2 council-to-council meetings, making sure that they're fully briefed and up to speed on what we're looking at, why we're looking at it, the potential benefits that come from the Acacia land withdrawal being right against this potential application. So I think what I would leave you with, Mr. Chair and members of the committee, is the city's engaged on this. We see all of these pressures that have existed prior to my time on council. And as we know, Canada and the world are looking north. And if we're going to meet the moment, these are the types of things we have to figure out how to do. And the regular processes may or may not be what get us there. But as I said at the start, I'm a believer when I see it. So I'll keep talking about it until that day comes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Worship, and thank you, staff, for supporting this initiative. And at this moment, I'll ask if you folks can switch out. You're welcome to stay in the back in the gallery, and we'll invite the minister and your team forward. And to keep everyone entertained in between that, I will now sing a ballad from Leonard Cohen.
Please no.
I don't want to get hostile. I know I'm a bad singer. Sorry?
A limerick?
Yes. All right. All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you to the minister for being able to get out of cabinet in order to be here for the presentation. I'm glad you were able to hear some of the exchange between the City of Yellowknife and committee. Mr. Minister, committee, including our millions of subscribers, have been following along. We look forward to your piece now. We're running short of time, but that doesn't mean we don't have time. So let's, what I've encouraged committee to be is efficient, not, but, you know, is possible. That said, if you'd like to begin, we'll nudge the process on. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of committee, for the invitation to appear here today. The Government of the Northwest Territories recognizes that access to land is critical to supporting growth in the City of Yellowknife, and that this is a priority we share with the city. In support of this, the Department of Environment and Climate Change signed a memorandum of collaboration with the city on June 6, 2025. The memorandum established a clear framework for advancing key land transfer initiatives with a focus on improved coordination, information sharing, and joint problem solving to support timely and effective decisions. It also prioritizes the transfer of identified parcels through individual transactions, allowing work such as bylaw development, budgeting, and surveying to proceed in a more efficient and cost-effective manner. At the same time, the Department of Environment and Climate Change has worked closely with the city to develop a process guided for bulk land transfers of vacant land to municipalities. This guide has since been adapted for use by communities across the Northwest Territories and is publicly available. The bulk land transfer model is an important tool that supports more efficient access to land. It involves transferring large blocks of land to a municipality, which can then subdivide and develop that land as needed. This approach is already in practice and aligns with both the Memorandum of Collaboration and the GNWT process guide for transferring public land to communities. Under this model, the GNWT completes the required consultation and engagement for the full land block at the onset of the transfer. We recognize that these processes can take time, particularly where consultation and engagement requirements must be met. These are necessary steps to ensure the land transfers are done responsibly and in ways that respect legal obligations and Indigenous rights. Once that work is complete, the city conducts the legal survey to define the parcel boundaries, and ownership is transferred to fee simple through registration with the Land Titles Office. After taking ownership, the city has the flexibility to move forward with subdivisions and development according to its own priorities and timelines, while continuing to meet applicable zone and planning requirements. Importantly, this approach avoids the need for repeated consultation at each subdivision stage, which helps to streamline the overall process. Our focus is on identifying where we can reduce duplication and improve efficiency, while still meeting all the required consultation and legal standards and requirements. This approach has already been successfully applied in areas such as Niven and more recently in Grace Lake North and Grace Lake South. These examples demonstrate how the model can support more efficient land development while continuing to meet all legal and consultation requirements. While there is more work to do, the steps we have taken to date reflect a deliberate effort to improve coordination and accelerate access to land where possible. We remain committed to working in partnership with the City of Yellowknife to further improve coordination, reduce barriers where possible, and support timely access to land to enable the city's continued growth. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. Before I go to committee, I do have a bit of a list starting to grow. Just to clarify, the map you've provided, are you going to reference that, or is that just sort of background information for committee?
It's
Minister?
primarily background, but we may reference it depending on where the direction of the conversation goes.
Okay. Those in the public may find it difficult to see online, so, but that said, I understand. Thank you. I'm first going to begin with MLA Reid, followed by MLA Morgan, and we will build a list from there. So MLA Reid, when you're ready, please. And, oh, sorry, one thing, given the time, we may only want to do one question, and then we'll try to keep things moving, so thank you.
Thank you,
Please.
Mr. Chair. Appreciate that. So thank you very much for being here with us today. It's really great. I think my colleagues have already commented that we can have both parties in the room and have an open conversation in the public. It's really wonderful. So on your commentary then, Mr. Minister, I guess when you say that the approach that you're following has been successfully applied in areas such as Niven, Grace Lake North and South, and while there's more work to do, the steps you've taken to date are improving that coordination. I guess the real question at hand is how many steps are left and where are you at in the process? And indeed, where do you see the barriers that exist to get us to the point of the transfer? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And thank you for that.
Thank you. Just for clarification, on the existing priorities that have been identified by the City of Yellowknife?
Yep, perfect. Good question, good clarification. MLA Reid, I'll let you
Thank you,
clarify.
and I apologize, the Frame Lake parcel, because that's mostly what we're talking about today. Thank you.
Yeah.
Certainly, thank you, Mr. Chair. So currently, the Frame Lake parcel, the application has been submitted. However, we're still waiting for a recommendation from the Capital Planning Committee. So that's the next step in order to advance that. So essentially, when we talk about the Frame Lake parcel, until that recommendation comes forward, the process is essentially sitting there. So perhaps I could pass to ADM Ricky to add any more granular detail, if you will. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Minister. ADM, if you would help us with that question.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yep, so under the city's bylaw, there's a capital area planning committee. The committee has met a couple of times to discuss the application that's pending before the department. We are awaiting a consensus recommendation from the committee to advance the next steps in the process. Consultation is currently ongoing in that application, and we're hopeful that a recommendation will be received soon from the Capital Area Planning Committee, and we can proceed through the remaining steps in the process. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Just to clarify, the remaining steps would be, I think that was part of your question.
So the remaining steps would be processing the application to sales, working with a survey plan to have the parcel surveyed, and then formally transferring through the commissioner from the Government of Northwest Territories to the City of Yellowknife.
Thank you, that was most helpful. Thank you. I now have MLA Morgan, and again, we're just going to keep moving. That way we get as many possible questions and people on the record. Please, MLA Morgan, when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I guess the first question is, I don't know if we'll have multiple questions, but would you say that delays in this process are due more to like internal staff capacity of just sort of being able to move things forward, or is it delays in consultation process which might point to capacity issues with partners that you're trying to consult with? And I mean, I know that GNBT is, I believe, a member of the Capital Planning Committee. Like, what levers do we have to try to help ensure that those consultation processes occur in a timely manner? Like, what levers are available to the GNBT to help make that happen? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Minister, if you would, with
Yeah,
respect.
thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'll maybe speak to the higher level, and then I'll pass to Nathan for the detail. So we've added 2 additional positions within lands to help support the consultation piece. Some of the prioritization that we've done, and keeping in mind that currently we have 400 applications in our system across 33 communities in the NWT. But what we have done is, in an effort to prioritize, so if we get an application for 1 parcel and an application for 30 parcels, we'll prioritize the larger application. So that's the approach that we've taken, is to look to the bigger applications and move those to the top of the list in an effort to get more land available quicker. So that's essentially the bigger piece. I do firmly believe that capacity is somewhat of a challenge. Certainly not just from the GNWT side, but from the communities across the NWT as well as from the Indigenous governments. Like, we're not all so robust that we can just move everything very quickly. So that is certainly part of the challenge, but I'm happy to pass to ADM Ricky for some more detail. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I appreciate that. Minister, ADM, if you would help us with that challenge and clarification.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And specifically to the question on efficiencies, so one of the opportunities I think the Capital Area Planning Committee presents is having the ability to talk about the application amongst the interested parties that are subject to the Planning Committee. YKDFN, NSMA, the city, DND, RCMP, they're all part of the Capital Area Planning Committee. Part of that process is to hear concerns and try to find solutions and reach consensus on the application. It's a bit unique given the special area that's in mention for this application, and it's an opportunity that I think is well placed given the importance of the area to many residents and the city to move forward with expansion. That process will help in the consultation and engagement process that we will do later if we can get some clear expectations from Indigenous partners on what they would like to see. There is an interim land withdrawal that borders the application, and there is some probably interest from one of the Indigenous governments to develop some areas there. So hearing their interest and working through that together is a unique opportunity and should expedite the process following the capital area planning process. Thank you. Sure.
Thank you, ADM. That was very interesting. Thank you. Now moving on to MLA Test Start, and we will continue to build from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I think, so what I'm hearing is like the two examples the minister has given, Mr. Chair, of like Grace Lake and Niven being examples of where this process has worked. Those are historic examples. So where we're at now is a need to move quickly, as His Worship, Mayor Hendrickson said. And what I'm not hearing is how we're going to get there. I hear about using the existing process better. When the Prime Minister says we need to build things in Canada again, he introduces new legislation to make that easier, both on a financing and regulatory side. When other premiers say they want to build quickly, they make changes. So why is the Minister not proposing any changes to the process so we can move quicker? Because those capacity challenges are not going to go away overnight, and it's fine to say, we have a planning committee that will make this more smoother. Those are all hypothetical. What we know is these applications and consultations take a long time. We know consultations can drag on, if not months, then years. So why are we not looking to adopt an expedited process for matters specifically like this that have to do with readiness and being prepared for the future? When the existing process has proven historically to be far too slow. Thank you.
Thank you, MLA Test Start. Minister, do you want to start with that, or?
Sure. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I think, our obligation for consultation is a big piece of this. And currently, if we want to speak specifically to this one file, currently, we still need the recommendation from the Capital Planning Committee, right? So as we move forward, and part of the consultation, as ADM Ricky said, part of that work will be part of that conversation, but we still need to move that forward. So I think the way that we've amended our process to prioritize the larger lots is certainly something that has improved our ability to move quicker in that big subdivisions like are proposed in the city of Yellowknife will move to the top of the list. Part of our work with the city in collaborating and ensuring that they're identifying their priorities to us so that we are able to respond to those will, again, improve the process. We've added additional resources to help improve the process. So we've done many things already to help improve the time of the process. There are some things that are difficult to change the timeline on, but we are making every effort to try and work through those and make this a more timely process. So There's some things you can't necessarily change in the process. You just need to find ways to be more efficient to work through that process. So with that, I'll pass to Deputy Minister Jenkins to add some additional comments.
Thank you for that, Minister. Deputy Minister, you have further to add, please? The mic staff have you, or like our technicians, our expert technicians for the record.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I mean, just to build on the comments that the minister made, I'd say it's about focus and concentrated effort. There's really, we will not have the capacity to move all our applications in all the communities all at the same time. That's clear. So, you know, this is a really good example. The mayor and the city manager spoke about, you know, the effort we made to develop a memorandum of collaboration, to define new processes, to meet more regularly, to focus applications and prioritize applications. And there's been progress on the applications. The three priority areas that the city has put to us, Frame Lake, Taylor Road, and easement out to the airport. Concentrated effort on those. For Frame Lake, you know, it is now moving towards the back end of the process. There's been several meetings of the Capital Area Planning Committee. Hopefully, there's something that comes to the department soon on that, and then we can take the necessary steps, finish up consultation, make some decisions, and work through the administrative and legal pieces to transfer the land. So I think really to just echo the comments of the minister, it's truly about focus and concentrated effort in the areas of need. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. I now have MLA McNeely followed by MLA Morris, and we're doing fantastic on efficiency, by the way. Okay, thank you. MLA McNeely.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mine is or my presentation's more of a recommendation. It seems that both parties are moving towards, but there's some process that needs to be overcome, and in particular consultation. So based on the points of economic imperative on transition and the urgency, as I mentioned here, I'm excited for the Northwest Territories for 3 different areas, both airports and the middle construction highway. And taking into account what I'm told here, there's a 500-man camp for the department going up on the other side of the airport. So given all the realities of expansion, our new national defense coming north, maybe a time schedule on the closure or transitional points of your memorandum needs to be done here as an appendix so that targets and schedules are met within the first week, second week, third week. So at the end of the day, we can say, okay, in 90 days, we're going to be ready. So I just make that suggestion as a schedule to the existing, or timeline schedule to existing memorandum. Thank you.
Thank you, MLA McNeely. Minister, if you would, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I mean, I think it's certainly, you know, worth a conversation with our partners, whether that be the YKDFN or other Indigenous governments or organizations within the city. But certainly, you know, the timeline on the consultation is not something that we have, as the GNWT, have the ability to put a frame around. So, I mean, I know that Mayor Hendricks has had a number of conversations with the YKDFN as we continually consult with Indigenous governments. So, you know, happy to engage in the conversation to see what is possible. But so I'll be able to leave my comments at that for now. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Minister. And I, too, am aware that there's been engagements, discussions, collaborations. I'm just not aware of the outcome, but that said, I know they're working with them, so I can say that as well. I now have MLA Morris, then followed by Testart and Reed, if we have time. Thank you. We'll find time. When you're ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I guess I wanted to ask about follow up on the questions that I was asking during COW last sitting about possibilities for speeding up the timeline. I mean, I think you've already answered that question to a certain extent, but I am curious if there are efficiencies that could be found, and I'm curious to if the answer to that question is kind of already, if you feel it's already been given, then I would just ask kind of what are you trying to work out with the Capital Area Committee right now, and why is that somewhat of a sticking point? Can you help us understand that better, and what's going on there and how it can be resolved quickly? Thanks.
MLA Morris, I think the ADM had said they're waiting for the recommendation, so if you want to adjust your question or hear them say that, your thoughts. It's your question. You said they were waiting for the recommendation.
From the Capital Area Committee?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the question was an update on any timeline-related items or efficiencies that could be established in the current process for land transfer. Since I last asked about it a few months ago, I'm just curious if they made any progress. Thanks.
Fair enough. I just didn't want you to waste your question on something that's already been asked. Minister, if you would, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think a lot of what we've done, I've sort of already responded to in the way of prioritization and adding additional resources, et cetera. As far as specifically with the Capital Planning Committee, I'll pass that to Assistant Deputy Minister Ricky. We're at the table, but it's a number of groups that are also at the table, so.
Thank you for that. Minister, ADM, if you would help us, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the question. So there's been a series of meetings. I think there's been 4 meetings of the Capital Area Planning Committee. I think on the agenda for the last meeting, which was just happened a couple of weeks ago, the intent was to reach a recommendation. I think that's been a bit delayed. I suspect there'll be another meeting, and the intention would be to have that recommendation forthcoming. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right, I now have, thank you. I now have MLA Testart, followed by MLA Reid. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, and if I'm a bit frustrated in this process, it's only because it's been so lengthy, but I take as fact that there is a good relationship here between the minister or City Hall and the department on this, but good intentions are not good public policy. And what we have been told is that the memorandum of agreement isn't defining new processes, it's reaffirming old processes, and the process has allowed more communication between the parties. So I would push back against the minister's suggestion that every effort has been expended. I don't think it has. So I would like to ask, would the minister bring forward or begin exploring adopting legislation or policy that would operate similar to Bill C-5, that would allow ministers or cabinet power to fast track NWT building initiatives, whether they be land transfers, infrastructure projects, things like that, within territorial regulation. Because I don't want to hear, well, the Mackenzie Valley Highway or Mackenzie Valley Regulatory Board, obviously that. But we have this piece of legislation federally. We've seen how it worked. We've seen the rigor it's gone through. Why not adopt something like that locally so we can move faster on these things? Because again, the government of Canada is trying to move fast on this multi-billion-dollar generational investment. If we cannot match their pace, we will miss out and it will go elsewhere. That is how these things go. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Minister, when you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will take that suggestion away with me. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Just on that note, then, are you able to provide a written response after some consideration?
Yes, we will provide a response.
Okay, and same challenge to you. When the city responds to us, I've asked them to CC you. I hope you can include the city as well, just to keep the fullness and fulsome of information involved.
Yes, we will. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, looks like we will have room for one question, and we're going to sneak one extra one in, and that'll be MLA, start with MLA Reid, and MLA Morgan will get the last question in for the morning. Because everyone's been so delightfully efficient. Thank you. MLA Reid, when you're ready.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it. So continuing to pull on this thread of the Capital Area Planning Committee, is there a legal requirement to wait on that recommendation? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Minister, any thoughts on that? That's a good question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will pass that to ADM Ricky, please.
Thank you for that. ADM, if you could help us, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Capital Area Planning Committee is part of the bylaw. It's been established by the City of Yellowknife. We have committed to work with the city administration on adhering to those bylaws, so we would wait for that recommendation to proceed to the next steps.
Okay, thank you. So there is a formal rule or process. Thank you. MLA Morgan gets the last question.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Chair. So you'd mentioned when you were describing the process earlier that surveying would happen before, like after consultation, and then there would be surveying, and then land would be transferred. Does that mean that, does the GNBT cover any of the costs of the land surveys, or does that fall entirely on the applicant? And is there any way that you've found to help streamline or reduce some of the costs of surveying, particularly with larger parcels? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Minister?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. So, yeah, we would not cover financially part of the survey process. With the bulk land transfer, what we're surveying is the outside perimeter of the parcel, and not requiring that every lot be surveyed during the transfer. So that essentially would be the savings up front, if you will, because then the community has the ability to go through and subdivide as they see fit and sell off the lots, as opposed to having to make that large financial investment up front. If you're talking 1,500 lots, it's a significant investment for the city to have to make up front, if that was a requirement prior to the transfer.
Okay, so make your requests very simple. Yeah, I can imagine how complicated it is. That said, thank you very much for that. We've reached the, what I'd like to think is the respectable cutoff time. That said, committee may ask in the future dates, if it's necessary, to call either party back to further discuss this. I want to thank you both, the city still sitting in the back, and of course the minister in the front here at the witness table, for providing your answers today. This is a very important topic for some of us. It's a passionate topic for many of us, and I'm not here to speak for individuals, but I'll say I know many of us were keen on this, and we're looking forward to say the file is moving that much further forward towards a completion. On behalf of the committee, as chair, I want to thank you for your time, and may I wish everyone a good day.